Ivo Bernardo,
What's up?
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, did you see the news about Anthropic Mythos?
Yes, I saw it.
What do you think about it?
Okay. So, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I think if this is the first episode and it's launched as the first episode, it's very good to see these initiatives in the AI space. So I'm very happy to be the first invitee from you guys. And about mythos or mythos or whatever someone or one would like to call it. So we have this idea of evolution of AI agents and how the AI agents are becoming better and better. And I think we should always take um, with a grain of salt the reports from the companies that are more interested that these AI agents are better and better. So what I mean by it is that although I believe that that will happen. What's happening supposedly with Mythos, and for context, like how Mythos is has found like a lot of zero days security bugs on a lot of software, mostly, and to explain like how these AI models could find in software as old, like I would say in browsers, even Google Chrome, a lot of security flaws and could crack a lot of security flaws because of its power, the power of this new AI model. That it took, I read today that it would take like 20 hours of a dedicated security team to actually make the work to find those flaws if they knew that they would have to search those flaws, which is one of the issues, is that this model found things that humans couldn't find. Um, and what I think is that these types of labs, the labs that are releasing these models, they will always overemphasize the capabilities of these models. And you can see that by if you go back and read the announcement from OpenAI on GPT-2, they would also say that GPT-2 was too dangerous to release. And
I remember that. Yeah.
and you all know how GPT-2 was. And today we treat GPT-2 almost as a child that had, I don't know, 6 months probably compared with the models that we have today. This is to say that uh, not to devalue what's happening right now with AI. I always think that we should take time to understand if what these AI labs are really putting out there, really the reality. And I think that we'll have, after the deployment of this model, we will have um, the ability to see how dangerous this model can be. I don't know if it's Midas or not. I know that we'll reach a time where these AI models will be able to do uh, things in terms of cybersecurity that we are just not aware of. There's an interesting concept that I've read the other day, which is that the AI models and the AI world will evolve to kind of an environment like nature. What do I mean by it? We do not understand many of the things that nature and animals do between themselves. We don't understand that. We can view them, but we don't understand them deeply. We don't understand how certain things in nature happens, how phenomena happens. Otherwise, we would be able to predict earthquakes and hurricanes at the best precision possible. And as you know, we can even predict the weather. Like if you go to an app and try to see the weather for tomorrow, you take out some jacket and then you get out there and, oh, but it's so sunny. Like, why were they predicting the weather? So we don't understand that phenomena fully. And how some people are arguing that this will go in the future is that we will have the AI world, the interaction between AI models will be similar. We'll view them interacting, but we really don't understand it. And that's something
Do you think that's
very
dangerous?
interesting. I think that's dangerous. But it can also be something that just happens by itself. It will harm us from time to time, just like nature harm us, and we'll be here all the same. So, yeah.
You don't think they can take over?
I think it's difficult that they will take over. I My thinking on this, I was more afraid of them taking over. I think the largest problem with AI right now is that before they take over, we have such a society that is so divided that we'll end up annihilating ourselves. So I think that for them to take over, this moment that I'm speaking will come first. So we need to take care of this one first, and then we'll take care of the second.
So you think humans will kill themselves before AI kills us?
Probably, yeah. Like if you see historically, like you have something historically that is the when you have a lot of difference in society in terms of how you separate like who the haves and have nots, like this is something that has happened a lot during history. And when you reach a certain point in time, you'll have large revolutions, large problems in terms of how the society is organized. You have violence, you have a lot of things that are not good. And when you reach that point, um, you basically have a restart in the society. This happens
Which point? Sorry.
at the point where you have such large revolutions and upheaval and so many division between the people that have a lot and the people that don't have nothing. And when you have that point, when you have that inflection point where the proportion of the people that have a lot in society passes a certain, there's not a threshold, but passes a certain point that is not fixed, you have that those revolutions and wars and everything that is very bad for everyone. You basically destroy peace and prosperity. And when you get to that point, basically society is restarted in some way. Like you had this in the Second World War, you had this in the French Revolution, like all of the consequences of economic inequality led to that. Today we have a very big motor that can be of like inequality. You see that in the stock market. Just see like the top 5 companies of how much they represent of the index. Of
like 7 companies represent like a lot of
like 20 or 30 or 40, but I think don't even know the number because it keeps increasing as time goes by. And if that reaches to a point where there's a lot of like upheaval from the people and from society as a whole, you have a lot of tension. Today, you also have nuclear weapons that can basically annihilate each other. We can annihilate each other. So this is going to be an experiment, seeing if we don't get to that point. And we're already starting to see some nuances of it with AI. You've seen how Sam Altman's house was basically attacked by someone that was protesting against AI, and he is the target of that. And if things continue to go by, and there are some things that people, this is something that also worries me a lot, and sorry for detouring here, which is the populism around AI will rise as well on both sides. People that think that AI will solve every problem in the world, and people that think that AI will kill us all. So the populism and the way that people will approach these two topics will be stronger and stronger on each side, will lead to more conflict, will lead to more battles, more revolutions, more problems, I would say. So I'm not really thinking about AI taking over because I think we have, unfortunately, the stupidity to take over ourselves first.
So the problem here is, what if AI monopolizes innovation, right? Because in all history, like the masses had a way of rising up against who was on the top in power. But what if AI is so good that who has control over it has access to all the innovation and all the tech?
That is one of the major issues that led to what I was describing of the inequality. Although I think we are kind of safe in the out of distribution cases. What do I mean by out of distribution? Right now, I don't know how much in the future, but right now AI has a lot of issues exploring unsampled data. What I mean is out of sample data, things that I haven't seen. So like that are very similar to the domains that it knows. So everything that it knows in the past, it has issues with that. And you can see with RKGI3, which is one of the benchmarks that is out there, and I think it was released like 2 or 3 weeks ago or something, that it's basically they've mastered the game in a way that AIs can't really solve that game as a human can.
It's like 0.37%, right?
0.37%. Yeah. And it's very interesting because the other RKGI's benchmarks, we were on the 80s or on the 85s on the 90s. And why were we there? Because kind of companies and big labs were optimizing to solve the RKGI benchmark. So this issue of the benchmarks is kind of showing us that we are still very far from AI being able to monopolize like the the things that are new, the novelties. There is now and one of the, just detouring to another area, which is music. So we all heard about AI music and how AI music may be interesting. I don't know a single person that has been listening like all the time to an AI artist
It's
because
very bad.
it's very bad, it's very boring, it's very repetitive. Of course, if you are interested like in the same four chords, yeah, but you had that with the pop music in the last 40 years. They've been doing the same four chords. It works for a certain audience, but I think that normally music is also like related with the persona, with the stage persona, with the person that is behind that music. And there's now a band they are Canadians, and they have like been playing like some weird things. I'm going to assassinate some French here, and sorry, called Angine de something, poitrine, or how the hell do you call it? Sorry about my bad French. But they have been like wearing costumes with polka dots and whatnot, like on stage, and they have done like some very weird combinations of microtonal music, which is like the notes in between the real notes that we know in Western music. And that's something completely novel. And that is something that a lot of people have been hearing to because it's novel. It's not something that AI can come up with. And I think that these out of sample distributions will always happen. And when we see novelty, we want new things. Like as human beings, we crave new things. Now, if you ask me, is this a problem when humans are not on the other side, when humans are not the consumers, are not the people that are going to get that information? Yes, probably is going to be. But as long as humans are on the other side, as consumers, as buyers, as listeners, as the main people that will experience, or the main entity that will experience what is done and what it consumes, I think that's not a problem.
Even AI writing is like very different from human, right? Like you can tell at a glance.
And who likes to read? Like how long, how much have you like, or for the people listening, if you think about it, when you start to read a blog post or a long post, and you clearly notice that is written by AI, you don't read it. You don't read it. You just get another freaking emoji. Like, please, no, I don't want this.
But I was having this discussion with a friend of mine. Isn't every innovation just pattern matching?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. I would say that it may be pattern matching, but sometimes applied to domains that are completely different from what one would expect. So, although it's pattern matching, it may be a pattern. I wouldn't also like call it pattern matching in most of the things. For example, one of the most famous and the one that I also always bring is the theory of relativity. Like, I don't think anyone could go through pattern matching, finding the theory of relativity as Einstein done just by pattern matching. I think it would get stuck in Newtonian physics if we try to do pattern matching. So I would say that most of innovation is pattern matching, but most of innovation, there's a significant chunk that is not the majority in terms of number, but that is the most impactful, that is not pattern matching. And for the innovation that is pattern matching, I would say that normally it's pattern matching, but applied to a different area, to a different domain, and to a different scenario. And that's where I think the human brain really excels, which is in the power of analogy. We are very good with analogies. And AI is not very good with analogies, yet, at least, I would say.
We can like create new things where AI cannot.
We can see, for example, art is kind of an analogy if you think about it. Like, you can create a piece of art by doing an analogy based on something. Like when you see abstract art, when you see paintings, for example, pop art that had like the logos from the bottle cans and had all those brands, that is kind of an abstraction of the pop culture at the time, where brands were really becoming vivid and turning that into an art that represents the culture at the time. So it wasn't obvious to someone looking at a can saying, this would be a great painting. Like, people will pay a lot to look at a painting from one of these cans. Like, now it's obvious, but at the time it was something completely out of the box. So kind of that power of analogy, of doing like, this is something that works in this domain, like this is a practical domain, but I'm going to pick it up and put it on the art domain and it's going to work. It's not very obvious for AI. It's not very obvious.
So do you think, so analogy is connecting different domains, right? So do you think specialists are gonna stop working in the future? Because
Okay, very interesting question. So I think that to be a specialist, you really need to be a very good specialist. Otherwise, I don't see you as having like a lot of future in the future of work. But this is my opinion. I think generalists are going to uh, be be working with these AI tools alongside these AI tools much better than specialists. Now, what specialists may bring is that if you are a specialist, you need to focus on where is the part of your speciality, so to say, where you are really special, where you have something that is different, and where is the part where you are not special. And this is very difficult for a specialist to do because specialists also tend to have a lot of ego about what they do and what they know. Sometimes that ego is valid, sometimes they really know something that no one else knows, but most specialists, for example, you see that let me pick up a concrete example other than just navigating here the mayonnaise, so to say. You see that in software engineering or software, I think it's probably the most disrupted profession in the last 4 years. It's where I would say that people have been doing something completely different in a different way than what they were doing 4 years ago. 4 years ago, they were writing everything manually. Right now, I don't see most software engineering is writing a line of code. They are just describing specs, investigating the code, and changing what they think it's doable or feasible for a specific domain. Although you can be an artisan still developing software, but you are that. You are an artisan. So you are developing your own code manually and making everything very tidy. But that's not what companies are looking for right now in software. They want to ship fast.
they want speed and they want
And,
like
and you see that the people that could adapt very well were the generalists, not the specialists for this new world. Like I've seen the company, like my generalists have been applying like these tools very well and delivering like very good quality software very quickly, just because they adapted so well being a generalist. I know a bit of databases, I know a bit of machine learning, I know a bit of deployment and cloud, I know a bit of data engineering. So these people could transform themselves in this new world. Like if you are just a specialist of, I think like being a specialist in the technology field, particularly, is a bad idea because technologies change so quick. What you work with changes so quickly. Like I don't see, to the people that I'm speaking now and that were studying with me 10 years or 15 years ago, no one is doing the same thing that they were doing 15 years ago. So no one, in terms even of the tools that they work with. So yeah. I brought this to my domain because it was easier to speak about.
so if you would restart your career now, what would you do different?
Great question. I would say that now, well, I don't know what I would do different, but I know what I would do. I kind of tend to do this in the starting of my career. So I kind of wouldn't do it differently. I would still do it, even though we are in a completely different time and day and different years. So when I started in like 2012, I started to work in 2012. And now, although things changed so much, it's a completely different world. I would still recommend the same thing. So I wouldn't do differently, but I still recommend it, which is if you are going to work in something, you just want to be like in a company, in a startup, um, in a nonprofit, whatever, you just want to be that person that can take care of things. What I mean by it is that if there is a problem that arises in your team, if there's something that you can, even though sometimes it's very boring work, you just want to be the person that knows how to take responsibility and go until the end. And when someone delegates something to you, you say, let me take care of that. This is actually not my advice because I don't think about such wonderful advice. My brain doesn't get there. It's from Barack Obama. So he was much smarter than me for sure. And he came up with this advice was something that I've uh, was thinking a lot about how to put it into words, and he put it like so quickly. One day I saw an interview of him saying this, and I was like, dude, that's exactly it. I've been trying to vocalize it because this is really what sets everyone apart. Is that when you are working, doesn't matter the domain, doesn't matter what you are doing, and you can be working in the most, so to say, low-level job that you can think about, and you can still do it. And you'll climb your career and you'll have a lot of success because people will trust you. And when you build that trust, you'll climb very quickly on your career. If you are like looking to have your own thing, uh, uh, not only being an employee, is just getting out there and build as much as you can. Because right now we are on that stage. We are on the stage where there's so much opportunity for young people right now. There's a lot of opportunity right now to build cool new things. There's just a lot. And what I mean by building is that don't wait for the idea. Don't wait for that lightning bolt moment. Don't wait for, no, I'll try this later. No, just get on and build it as quickly as possible and put it in front of the people that you think are going to be your users, and go out there, because you can build an app, a mobile app now in half an hour. So
Just
it's
go and learn
amazing.
in the field.
Just go learn. Just put yourself like if you are if you are building something, put your thing and what you're building in front of your users and who you think are going to be your users as soon as possible. Like, go public and get feedback as quickly as possible. Because people sometimes one or two, or they wait a lot for the perfect moment that doesn't exist.
It's now. It's always now.
It's always now. It's always now. And now it's even more than than yesterday. So
So Charlie Munger has this very interesting thought experiment that goes with what you're saying, where he starts by the end. So he goes, if I wanted to fail, what would I do to guarantee failure? He says it's an inversion thought experiment.
Yeah.
And he says, if you would like to guarantee failure in life, you would first not be trustworthy, and second, you would not be consistent. So I think this really connects with what you're saying of you need to be the guy that can take care of problems. People can trust you. You can give that problem. Right?
And money will follow when you do that. Like, basically, money will follow when you are the person that that people can trust. Money will follow, and it hurts me a lot when I see people that are very competent in what they are doing, and basically just because they are afraid of leaving a job that they are not happy with, or they are afraid of doing that jump, for starting their own thing, they just don't do it. But I'm sure that those types of people will be very successful. But it really hurts me a lot. Sometimes there are restraints and economical conditions that prevent people from doing that jump, of course. But I think that most of the times it's fear that speaks a lot, and people don't do that jump.
How do you beat that fear?
You just do it.
Just do it.
Basically, you just do it. Like, I had a lot of, when I started, like when I began my startup, I came like from a very, very low income house. So I had like a lot of issues in terms of having no income, because if I have no income, I have no one to lean on to. No one would save me. So I took a lot. I needed to work on that fear for myself. One of the ways was to build a nest egg, just to be ready on that time. Like, when I was working, I saved. When I was working for other people, when I was working in corporate, I saved a lot of money to be able to do this jump. So that was one of the first things that I've done. But the second was that I needed to battle that fear that I had of, if everything goes south, I don't have anyone to save me. So I needed to battle it. And the only way to battle it is to go out there and do it. And in my case, it was delivering my resignation letter to a large corporation on my birthday. Yeah.
On your birthday?
Yeah, on my birthday, I delivered my resignation letter to start my own company. And I had a startup before DareData that lasted 4 months, which is the average of a startup. 4 months. It lasted 4 months and it closed. And it was my experiment before DareData, and I was 4 months without a single income, without any income. And it was like, this was a good experiment to battle my fear.
Did you have that fear of constant failure while you were doing it? Like, oh no, like I quit my job. I like have nothing to like
Yeah, of course.
all the time, right?
All the time. It's always there. Even now, it's always there. We are kind of moderately successful with the company, but even now, it's always there. But there is a point in time where you feel that um, if you are building a good team, if you build a good team, if you trust the people that you work with, you'll be able to get on with things, and you'll end up having success in some way.
How do you how do you know if you can trust the people in your team?
You can trust them. So that's a good question. I think you can trust. Like I'm by default, I trust, and then if I have some um, some moment where I feel that trust was broken, then I don't trust. Like I trust by default, and I let the people know that I trust by default. I don't micromanage. I don't. I always I always act as if people are acting in the most professional way possible. Sometimes they don't, but when they don't, probably we'll never work together again, or
Mm.
as a customer, or as employee, whatever. So I give a lot of freedom and a lot of flexibility and a lot of trust to my team. I think that's a good social contract that we have between ourselves. I demand a lot, but I also give a lot of freedom. So that tends to work very well with my team. That's why there's a certain type of personality that works well at DareData. Like the people that work very well at DareData, they want flexibility. They want to be able to deliver good results. They don't want someone just always on their ear. So they know when they go to their data, I send them the culture document for them to read and say, look, this is the expectation of working here. So they know, okay, if I break this trust, probably I'm not going to work here. So and I also think that by default, people people are smart, like uh, and they see where they don't belong. Like, so if they don't belong to this environment, they are not there. So I trust by default. Yeah.
So right now, changing a bit of the topic, there's a very big difference between Europe, America, and China on the AI race. Why do you think that's happening, and how can Europe close that gap?
Okay, so Europe Europe has a tough past, so to say. So Europe is the continent where there were more wars, is the continent that was more divided in the past. So it comes with a difficult heritage, so to say. China was basically unified during the last 2,000 years or more, even. And the Americas are relatively, or the US is a relatively new country when you see the span of time of countries. So they have that advantage. Europe, no. Europe is a mixture of cultures and different people and bad blood in the past between different countries and cultures. So I think that unfortunately that also puts us a lot behind other countries in the speed that we can develop things. I think the US, I think the best, who's best right now is China because it's ascending basically. If you see even in the world news and with all the geopolitical stuff that has been happening, you don't hear a single bit about China. China is basically silent and working on their corner. So they're like the guys while three or four are like discussing between themselves who is going to eat the last pea of the plate. They are the ones cooking their own peas on the corner
And making it
and
bigger,
and
bigger.
making a big plate of peas just for them. So they are there. No one is paying attention to them, but they are rising very fast in the AI race. They have a lot of momentum because they are starting.
And
They educated a lot of the
it's
population.
very interesting that like most of their models are like open source.
Most of their models are open source. They have a lot of research. I read something which was, I think, 50% of the AI researchers are from China. So that is staggering
It's crazy.
statistic. It's crazy. Europe can fight in one of the two ways. Europe has something that the other two regions don't have. Although China has that, but China has a different mindset in terms of culture because it's collective first and individual later. In the US, it's a reverse, individual first, collective later, in the way that they think about society. Europe has a very stable way to live. People can live like very stably here in Europe. You have stability in your life. So Europe should lean to that in some way to attract like good people to work on. But Europe just needs to let go of the bureaucracy that is like everywhere in every part of the system. Like there's so much money that is thrown out in all these bureaucratic parts, in all the things that are making it's like a bureaucracy in its sense. It's not a democracy, it's a bureaucracy. And you have so many people playing this game of bureaucracy, trying to win at the game of bureaucracy, that you don't innovate. There's no incentive for it.
Yeah.
I have companies probably here in Portugal that make as much money as we do just by doing public contracts or just by working with governments. And they are just working the bureaucratic stuff. They're just not innovating. So you have this in Portugal and in all the other countries in Europe. So if Europe doesn't really adopt this mindset of, yeah, we need to kill like most of the bureaucracy and we really need to, one of the things that I saw was that of that idea of having a European company. When you are a company in Europe, you kind of can open a pan-European company and you can act and hire and do business in all countries in Europe. That would be a great idea, but then it ends up just being another measure for more bureaucracy, for you to fill a paper online or whatever, and hope that someone will approve what you are doing because there are a couple of people sitting somewhere in a desk or in a room that they need to approve what you are doing. Just like let that go and just incentivize people to build and to
But
do
how can we solve that?
it's very hard because the system is captured by people that are eating from the system.
The
So if you have
incentives.
a lot of people eating from the system and they are basically just benefiting from the system, it's very hard to solve it. Like the way that I try to solve it is to basically build good company in the private sector that gives a lot of jobs to people and that I can pay like very fairly to my team. So that's the way that I try to solve it. And that's the best way for us that are in the private sector to try to solve it, is to basically be innovative, create new solutions, never stop learning, and never make your company go to sleep because of bureaucracy, so to say.
So connecting with this, what is your like long-term vision for their data?
So we have been building products and we are more and more deploying this product. And so for us, we would like to keep growing the company, not in terms, we have the two businesses, we have consulting and we have product. And we don't want to be like a gigantic company with 500 or 1,000 people, for example. We could go that route, which is basically just doing consulting and adding more and more and more and more team members. But what we are now trying to do is to be better at our delivery in consulting faster, using, for example, the AI tools right now. My team is very fast at delivering business results. So that is one of the ways that we are envisioning having more projects, smaller projects with faster value, and then deploying our product alongside most of our product. That is basically a platform that you can guide, monitor, and improve your AI agents for your business case. And we have different business cases we are tackling. We can go there after. That platform is deployed alongside our consulting arm. So when we put people working in there, kind of like forward deployment engineers, that where they all are the new name for very good consultants.
Yeah.
So when you put them in there and working and seeing the needs of the customer, we'll take our product and also have revenue from our product that is really picking up a lot. And by the way, we'll have a new brand for our product coming out in next 1 or 2 months, probably. I don't know when this is going to be released, but it's coming out like near May, June. We'll have a new brand for our product. Just, I would say proper product branding now. Yeah.
So talk about these AI agents in the software. What we're doing right now is giving these general AIs to every company, right?
Yeah.
You have Cloud, you have Gemini, you have ChatGPT, and you're using these generalist models.
Yeah.
But with phones, with tech in general, when a technology starts, you have a very expensive technology. And with time, it diffuses, right?
Yeah.
Like now, everyone has an iPhone. Like not everyone, but like a lot of people have an iPhone. A lot of people have a computer. Do you think we're going towards a path where companies will have their own AI models, where training gets cheaper and cheaper, and then like your software, for example, trains on like using GPO or some reinforcement learning on specific tasks? Or do you think we're going towards a place where it's AGI, and then you have like one model that can do everything?
I think one model that can do everything will be tough. That's my gut feeling. I don't know. It depends because, for example, you can then navigate that model and tailor it for your use case. For example, as Claude does with skills in some way, you can like tailor it for a specific persona. What I would say is that in the future, uh, companies will want to own their AI model. I don't
Yeah.
know through which mean, if they are going to pay external companies to own their AI model or not. Because right now, I don't know, like technically, this is something I've been thinking about. If technically you have like trained specialized models for every company or for every domain, so to say, I think that that will not happen in the next probably 4 or 5 years, like, because that is basically capped on inference and training hardware right now. So hardware, like that's why NVIDIA is valued at the level that it is right now, is because all the big AI labs are basically consuming all the entire compute. Because right now, the evolution of the general AI models is capped on the available compute that is out there. And so as it's capped on the available compute, they are basically eating all that compute that is available in the clouds, in all the infrastructure right now. So companies will not have the power to just buy their own infrastructure to train their AI models, nor they have the capability to do it in terms of in-house knowledge. This will probably start to diffuse in 4 or 5 years or something like that. And then you can have that fork, probably, where companies will try to have their own AI agent trained for them. But I don't know if it will be economically viable even by that time. But I'll know that there will be business models that where companies will want to be very sovereign in terms of how their AIs are or where they are. Because right now, all companies are a bit afraid of the big labs, because if Claude, for example, duplicates their Claude Max subscription tomorrow, I would say their churn would be very low. And if you are a company that has 100K in billing to Claude right now, and that you are paying them, or you are paying them 100K, you probably are a bit afraid that they'll go there next month and say it's 200K this month. And what will you say? Okay, because you have.
Did you see that they're saying that they lobotomized Claude? They made it more stupid.
And they are going to probably do that in the future
Yeah.
more times.
Have you felt that Claude
Yes.
it's so stupid right now?
I felt the stupidification, but I also felt the non-tokenization, the gluttony of tokens now. It consumes so much more tokens now than like 2 months ago. And they are basically they'll keep doing it while they can get away with it. So,
Yeah, because they have the best model, right? And everyone want to use.
and they have the best product. They have the best product. Like their product is good. Like, and in the end, that's what makes the difference. Like I think if you are not like very hard in terms of tasks that you need, like frontier models, they have the best product. One of the things that I think will be very relevant for the future is kind of arbitrage and knowing how to do arbitrage between models. What I mean is that solving every problem that you have with Claude Max and Sonnet or Opus or now Mythos, it's going to be a stupid idea, because you're picking up your Ferrari to go to the groceries next door. If you want to go to the groceries next door, you can basically walk. So in terms of AI models, you'll have that. You'll want to understand, like in the future, I see a business model where you'll have a task that you give to an AI model, and you'll have like kind of a middle layer that routes you to different models depending on the complexity
Like
of
an
your task.
optimization layer to reduce your costs.
Yes.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yes,
Very
and
interesting.
that is something where I see a lot of business opportunity going to. Like if companies will pay a lot now for that type of model. If someone can really crack that, interestingly, it's going to be it's a good business model, because why would you pay? Get me the summary of these reports. Why will you pay the tokens from the maximum Claude model when even an open source model can take care of it? Probably you can have like a local LLM deployed and you don't pay anything just to do that task. So it's something for you guys to think about.
That's very interesting. But for that, we need providers to cooperate more, right? Because right now, like, did you see the thing with Anthropic and OpenClaw where they just ban OpenClaw?
Yeah. And you have like Sam Altman and Dario on stage in India. Not
Holding the hands, right? Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That is very representative of how they want to cooperate with each other. Yes, but even so, even if you are not on the, even if you are not cooperating, if you are not on the cooperation, like even if they are not cooperating, let me put it in this way, I think still if you know the nuances of the different models, and you can, for example, have a traditional machine learning model predicting the best model for that task.
Mm.
So you can have supervised learning working in there.
And you could have like evals on each model, like, oh, this model is best for. Oh, this is a very good idea for everyone that's listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
It takes some time to develop, but it's an interesting business model. We've been doing that on research, but we are kind of on GenOS, but it's not our core. It's not going to be the core of our product. So it's going to be one of the features, but not. If someone can have an API that is better than us, probably me and other companies would like to use that API.
So about LLM research, you had some inflection points, right? First, you had, of course, attention is all you need, which they had the breakthrough of LLMs. Then you had the time compute, where you have like time that increases the reasoning capabilities of LLMs. Then you had GRPO with DeepSeek and now the reinforcement learning, right? What do you think is the next breakthrough here?
So I think there will be an inflection point now, not really in the question, like not really on what's going to break, but which area is going to win, because now you have two fields. You have the LLMs will continue to be the thing, like we are going to just squeeze the transformer at most as possible, and there's going to be an iteration of a more efficient transformer in the future, and this is the LLM route where everyone is kind of looking for. And then you have the world models route.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
So from where Ian LeCun particularly, which is one of the best researchers.
How much are they getting funding again?
1 billion, 1 billion, is it 1 billion?
It was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money, particularly in Europe. It was a lot of money because he's in France. He's building this in France, and also Fei Li in the US is also building a world model type of stuff, which is basically a new area of research where AI is going to interact with the physical world, not through LLMs, not through language-based models, but through other types of models with other types of data. So this is going to be the next breakthrough, I would say. Or world models go out there and basically beat LLMs in everything, and you have a new jump. Or you keep iterating on LLMs and keep doing like incremental changes as time goes by. I think that it's going to be, I don't know, because like just the speed of how things are going now, it's insane. But I see that somewhere like near the next 1 or 2 years, you'll have probably this fork seeing who is going to win in the AGI race.
Can you explain a bit of word models? Because I don't really understand them.
Yeah, I also don't have, I can't, because I don't have much idea about how, I haven't seen many papers about it. What I know is that I just know that they don't use large language models. They don't use text-based data.
They don't use transformers?
They don't use transformers, I think.
Interesting.
Not sure of what I'm saying. I need to fact check me after. I don't think they use transformer-based architectures. At least I haven't read many papers on the area. I'm more on the LLM camp. I know more about the LLM camp than this one. But at least Ian LeCun has been very vocal of thinking that the LLM-based stuff is not going to solve AI, so to say. So yeah, I'm going to need to investigate a bit more about world models because I don't know that.
Yeah, me too. Well. Do you think there's a cap on LLMs and how?
I think, well, probably there's going to be a cap on the out of sample distribution that I've said. I think that's probably one cap. Let's see if it's going to be there or not. At least that's what I'm feeling right now. Both seeing the evolution of the models, both seeing how it works. It's very difficult to find novelty without just some randomness sometimes. Sometimes randomness ends up in novelty, but it doesn't find novelty in a native way. So I think that's going to be the cap.
And do you think we can get to the point where you like can start learning? The LLM can start learning and so on?
Yeah, but like it's going to learn the things that it already knows almost, you know? So I think that the architecture right now is just going to try to learn what it already contains. It's not going to learn something new. Like if and again, ArcAGI 3 just shows that when it when it has a new challenge that is very different from things that it already knows, it fails a lot in new environments. So that's kind of like, if you need 2 years to find a new experiment with an LLM, just put the best scientist working on it. He'll probably find it sooner. So yeah.
It's very interesting because LLMs sound smart, but when you talk with it just for a bit, when you do it on your day to day,
Yeah.
they're not smart, right?
Yeah.
They like do these very dumb mistakes on the day to day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go. Sorry.
How would you define intelligence? Like, when
Okay.
would an LLM be at this level where you say, oh, this is human, or this is like human level intelligence?
I think human level intelligence is very special in the sense that it can learn in new environments and adapt very quickly. So to me, intelligence has a lot to do with adaptability. Like, you really
Agreed.
know how to adapt to new environments very quickly. You really know how you can use the skills that you've learned in the past and apply them in completely new situations very fast, or at least you learn that quite quickly when you compare with LLMs. When you compare with AI models. And I think, to me, intelligence is very tied to that. Like, of course, there are a lot of dimensions of intelligence. Like, I'm not one of those fans of defining intelligence in one direction. I think there are a lot of things. I know people that are very good at um, visual intelligence, and they are bad at math intelligence. So that's normal. I think we have a lot of different intelligence gradings, so to say. Of course, just by our education system, we assume that people with more math knowledge or more ability to do compute they are the most intelligent. But that's not true. I found a lot of people, and I find a lot of people in other areas that are very intelligent. So to me, adaptability is one of the key. So that's where and it's where I define that LLMs are not quite there in terms of that adaptability, and also LLMs sometimes they sound to me like those people, that guy that when you speak to them, they always are confident of the bullshitty things that they're saying.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's mostly an LLM, because in their training data, there's nowhere in the training data of an LLM, mostly like the training data comes from the internet. There's nowhere in the internet where you ask a question. For example, if you go on Reddit, and I said this on another podcast as well. When you go on Reddit, there's no one describing, hey, can you tell me how to do a recipe of pizza? And the first answer is, hey, how are you? I don't know. There's nothing like it, right?
Yeah.
Only the people that are going there is because they know the answer, so they are going to answer it. So the LLM doesn't have in the training data the concept of I don't know. That's why they're so bullshitty. And particularly intelligence is related with the fact of you understand the things you don't know. Understanding those three circles of I know that I know that I don't know that I don't know. And understanding that those three circle of competences is something that LLMs are very bad at doing. And to me, having those three concepts very well mapped is probably one of the best definitions of intelligence, so to say, because that's how you grow, right? If you have that map, if you know what you don't know, and you have an idea that you don't know, that you don't know that you don't know a lot of things, that's how you can become better. That's how you can navigate
Mm.
the the learning process.
So, capability for adaptation and for
Yes.
learning, then knowing the points where you don't know.
Yes, mapping those two things, to me, it's a very good definition of intelligence. Of course, there are others, but to me, those two have proven to be intelligent, so to say.
And in your view right now, what are companies doing wrong using AI?
Okay. Phew, there are so many. Do you have another hour for a podcast? Because no,
How-
I'm joking. I'm joking. We're not going
uh,
for another
uh,
one. But we could have just an episode
just on what companies are doing wrong?
just on what companies are doing wrong. So first of all, it's the top-down approach. I think that's one. It's one of the uh, major ones. And the top-down approach, what I mean by it, is that there's an executive that read something on Harvard Business Review, and they have decided that they need to try that AI stuff as soon as possible. And they demand that everyone starts to try it as soon as possible. That normally goes south because AI is a very democratic technology. Like, it is. People people, if they are not using AI in the best way possible, they will turn to these models such as Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini, and they will try to make it work for their use case on the side. So if you don't listen to the people that you have, like actually doing things with AI, if you don't listen to the users, companies are implementing this like completely wrong. This is not a top-down technology. This is not something that an executive thinks that it should be in this way, and they start to go down the entire organization just to deploy it. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is just being enamored, like, or kind of being in love with proof of concept. That's, to me, the biggest problem. They get like very excited with just that vibe coded app that seems to work very well, but then when you go on the backgrounds, like, dude, this has security flaws and like data problems, and you are going to spend so much tokens on everything here that is on the background um, tomorrow. So this is a bad idea. Like, you need to understand, like, companies need to work with partners that really understand AI, because there are a lot of people jumping to this area that don't understand the area. So to me, that's the problem number two. Problem number three is the reverse. It's are those companies that don't think that this is going to change the world. And they just think, no, we'll keep doing the old way. We are not going to try to introduce AI in our processes. We are not going to try to innovate. And those ones will be outcompeted like very fast. About problem one that I've described, we even saw this with when I say this, it seems that I'm just saying about those old companies, like the companies that are more um, they're like older and that's have a lot of dust on top of them. Like they are there in the corner. They are very old. No one wants to touch them. No, this also happens with technology companies. For example, I think it was yesterday or last or 2 days ago that Duolingo CEO just was apologizing about the way he was evaluating employees using AI, because kind of he tried to push like AI in Duolingo as much as possible, and then you saw quality of the product went down. The people using the product probably are not that engaged anymore. And he was like pushing and pushing to using AI as much as possible. Like, you need to push it intelligently, not like trying to push it everywhere. So it needs to be like tactically. You need to understand how people work. You need to understand how this is going to change the workflow of the people. And I also think that companies that are trying to use AI just to fire people are doing it wrong. I think that's a dead end, because what I'm seeing is that companies that are using these technologies alongside AI, alongside people, they are the ones really flourishing and being able to create top-notch workflows.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're like firing a lot of the workforce. But for example, on Amazon, there's been more errors on AWS than ever, right? So the quality of work is also decreasing.
Yeah. And they like hope that one day they'll return to the same quality. But that's a bet. That's a bet they are doing. What I think is that they'll need to rehire some of the
All these people.
and other things is like, for example, those companies that don't hire juniors anymore. Like they just think, oh no, we now that the work of a junior can be done by an AI and whatnot. Yeah, that's true. But who are going to be the seniors in the future? Like,
Who's going to learn, right?
who's going to learn? If you don't train people, if you don't develop the skill of training people to do the job, you'll have a hard time.
So if you're like a C-level and you see AI everywhere and you really want to implement in your company, what would you do?
Start with a real, honest assessment of the use cases and get together the people that may be affected by these use cases. So really doing an honest assessment, not of what I think is going to work, but doing an honest assessment throughout the organization with interviews. There are a lot of methods to do it. We have some of them, but with interviews, with understanding like the workflows that the team have right now, and understanding the best impact. And then you just need to map these use cases in 2 dimensions. Can I technologically do it? And how much business value is it going to bring? And I give you a story that's very interesting. When we were doing these use cases, I was speaking to one C-level, and he was like, "Yeah, I really want to implement AI in my company, and I think that customer support. I read that this is transforming customer support. The teleperformances and the concentrics are going down. They are just going to close because I think this is going to customer support." And we were like, "Okay, let's see if that's the case." And what we said was that let's first do an an assessment and let's first investigate if that's the case. After we've done the assessment, we discovered that they had around 15 calls per day. So for customer support. Why the hell do you want to automate customer support? Why do you want to spend tokens in automating 100, 400 calls per month? When their legal team was like drowned in processes and like they could save so much money in the legal team in making the legal team actually work because they were like just drowned in paper. And we were like, dude, why do you want to go to customer support? You have here the low hanging fruit of just optimizing the workflow for these people. And he was like, yeah, probably that's right. But then you need to show them the numbers. You need to show them what you should expect with this AI project, what you should expect to win. So to me, two things are very important is that you do the assessment and then again, and I'm not saying this because it's their data or whatever. I'm saying that you can easily understand if someone really knows what they're talking about in AI with a 15-minute conversation even.
How?
You make questions about what the people is saying and you ask for track record as well. Like
Okay.
you ask, okay, but how have you developed that in the past? Like, what are the normally people come and say, yeah, I've done this that transforms an entire workflow. And what you need to ask is, okay, but how many people were using the workflow before? How many people are using it now? How many hours did you save? How many documents could you process? How many documents were how many documents were flagged by AI with errors? Like how many errors did you have flagged by AI that were corrected by a human later? So developing this, I would say common sense in terms of software would help a lot of C-levels because this is common sense, just making follow-up questions. And it's very easy to understand if someone is just on the vibes or really understanding. But yeah, I would say that this is, but just getting back is that you need to work with partners that trust and that have a track record. This is absolutely needed when you are starting with AI. If you don't have the capability for it,
So you need to map the correct workflows, the correct places to put AI, and you need to find really good partners, right? But let's say I have a huge company and I hire a partner to help me with this consulting part of AI. How do I know that their incentives are aligned with mine?
okay, great question. What I recommend to my customers, even if they don't work with me, is that they do 1 month proof of concept first. Proof of concept or whatever you want to call it. They do a 1 month trial. So when I start to work with a company, normally I don't like big projects. I like a project of 1 to 2 months for us to prove that we are really able to do what we are doing. And in that 1 or 2 months of working together, you immediately understand like, are we aligned? Like, are these people aligned with me? Are they looking to like because during that 1 or 2 months, something some shit will happen. And you really see how people are. You don't see how people are on the good sides when things are good. You see how people are when shit happens. And so that 1 to 2 months of just starting with a company is the best way for you to understand if they are aligned or not. Then you can have a lot of things that you can put on contracts, but I would say that I'm not like the biggest fan of putting everything in contracts because I think that trust is the most important. And to trust a company, you really need to work with that company and try to work it like with a concrete scenario of 1 to 2 months of just working with them. Look, I have here this data, I have this objective. Let's do here a 1 to 2 months small project and see how we get along together. That normally sorts out the questions. So that's what I recommend is don't put yourself in projects of 1 year or 2 years with companies that you've never worked before. That's as simple as that.
Okay. So from the other side, now to the young people opening a company,
Yeah.
or maybe they really know AI and maybe they want to implement AI for companies. How do you gain this trust from these big companies?
Okay, great. It's hard. Like honestly, not going to lie. One of the things that was an advantage for DareData is that me, Nuno, and Sam that started with us, we already had experience, so we were already known in the market, so to say. So we already had people that knew us as employers and trusted us, so they knew we had kind of a good track record. But if you are young, I think what you are trying to find is the first customer as soon as possible. Doesn't matter how large or small it is. You just want to find the first customer and just nail that first customer, because that first customer will be the door. I'm now helping. I'm helping several people on their startups and advising them more informally. But I'm now helping someone that had that problem, which is I'm just known for me, but I now have an opportunity for the first customer, and they are negotiating the price because they are the first customer. Fuck the price. Like, don't care about the price, because right now you want that first logo. You want that first customer to work with you, and you absolutely want to ace, because when you ace it, that customer is going to tell someone else, I work with these guys and they are good. You should work with them. And that's very, very valuable. So when you are starting, you just want to find the best customer, and you have basically, there's a very good book called Crossing the Chasm. I don't know if you know it. It's like one of
Yes.
the best ones in terms of product market fit. But even taking it out of the product market fit is just, you understand that there's a part of buyers that they are the guys that are want to always be on top of everything that is new. So you'll always find, like, out there, people that are willing to bet on young people like you. Like, they are willing to work with you directly. They are going to give you, like, I'm going to give you the opportunity to work with me. But you really need to understand, when you have that opportunity, you just can make a mess. Like, you just can make a mistake. You need to go there and you need to deliver quality work. And again, returning to to what we spoke about in the beginning, you need to earn trust by just taking care of problems, by taking care of things, by thinking ahead of what's going, of how you can solve their problems. And there's a thing that is very important, more than what you deliver, which is managing expectations. It's one of the best things that young people can do. Because normally one of the mistakes that I see a lot of young people doing is that they overpromise and under-deliver. If they learn to under-promise and over-deliver, they will be much, much happier.
So get the first customer, under promise, and deliver very, very good.
Yes. And surprise them. Surprise your first customer. And by surprising, you say, okay, I'm not going to tell them. And normally, like when you are young, you are very excited and say, I'm going to add this feature and this feature and this feature and that feature and that feature. Like, don't tell them that. Just say, I'm going to add this feature and that feature. And then when you show, you say, oh, by the way, I've also added this extra feature for you. What do you think? There's nothing better than expectations. Expectations are one of the strongest forces of the universe.
That's really good advice.
That's it.
Thank you, Ivo.
Thank you. It was very good to be here and being your first guest.
Where can people find you? Like,
So LinkedIn, I also have I have two Substacks. I have one called The Data Journey, where I do that's how I know about all these things in AI. That's because I read a lot of the topic. And I have another Substack called Wait a Day that I can tell you later what it means. That is on leadership. So you can find me on Substack and LinkedIn for sure.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.